Happy Veterans Day to everybody out there here on this little bit of a gloomy Monday. A little bit of rain coming throughout the state, and hey, that's like liquid gold falling from the sky in this part of the country. And but good to see everybody. Glad everybody joined us here on a Monday morning to get started, and we'll dive right in. Randy talked a lot about basketball yesterday. It's exciting to have a positive thing to talk about. So let's get back to football. Let's get back to football. Football practice resuming. Who will we see at quarterback? Who will start Saturday as the quarterback is the biggest, I guess, the biggest watch now with 3 games left in the season.
Yeah, and I think the question mark is, do you like who we have? Are these guys going to be somebody that you can expect to see getting some snaps moving forward? And that's the questions I'd like to have answered. Yes, if you run the table and win all 3 of these football games, you have a chance to play in a bowl game. Sure. Do any of us feel like that's going to happen? No.
No.
And so with the answer being the no, I mean, I'd much rather get some kind of look on those guys that we have on campus and more of Hank Brown, if he's an option moving forward. Of course, a lot of us would like to see Walker White. You got to brace that it could be worse than Peyton Thorne. You got to trust the coaching staff that they've been playing. The current 2 that we've had out there, you got to expect that they're doing that for a reason. But if not, I don't know about you. I'd love to see Walker White out on the field and see what we were all buying into last year and see if he can be a piece moving forward that Auburn can count on. Deuce Knight, we all love Deuce Knight and hope that holds on. But, buddy, he sure was storming the field with the rest of the Ole Miss fans on Saturday night. So you got to know that those high school kids are still getting looked and talked to by a lot of other schools also. So you can't really count on that. And I don't count on him walking in day one and starting there at Auburn anyway. So that being said, the ones that we've got, I'd like to see on the field, knowing that it could be bad, but I'm braced for that. I've watched bad a lot this year, and I'm braced for whatever we would get to see. But I can tell you what, he looks the part. Now, can he play the part? I don't know, but none of us know until we give him a chance to go out there and play.
Well, at this point, you got 3 options. Do you keep running Peyton Thorne out there to finish the year? Or do you go with a mix of those other 2 guys? It really boils down to that. Holden Geriner is really not even in the discussion anymore. I don't know that he ever was. But at that point, you got to figure out. You'll know this week what direction they want to go in. Will you see some of Peyton Thorne? Maybe. I don't know. We saw him get benched against New Mexico and didn't get played. He didn't get any snaps. You saw that was a full Hank Brown game, and then Hank Brown got pulled after the half against Arkansas. We hadn't seen him since either. So it may be time for Walker White to just ride these last 3 games out. What does it matter at this point? I mean, do you not worry? The bowl record, the bowl scenario is out the window for me. I mean, there's nobody thinking we're going to beat Texas A&M and Alabama to end the season. So let's build for the future. I said that after the Missouri game. I told you that. I said if Auburn comes out and wins the Missouri game after the bye, then let's stick with Peyton Thorne and see how far we can go. But if we lose that game, scrap it, man, because really you pretty much don't have anything to play for at that point other than some mediocre bowl. So let's see if we can get Walker White some real game experience. 3 games. Let the chips fall where they may. Let the guy learn, knowing he's going to make some mistakes. But, game time's different than practice time. And there's no substitute for that, and especially against teams that Auburn still has left on the schedule. Now, we don't know how he's going to play, but, I know there's some people out there saying, well, why do you want to hurt his confidence? Why do you want to put him in a situation where he's going to fail? Hey, you're going to have to get in there at some point anyway. I mean, why not now? With a season that really doesn't have anything on the line. What kind of pressure is he under other than personal pressure? So I think it's a great opportunity if he's a legitimate choice moving forward for Auburn, then go ahead and put him out there.
Well, a couple other players that are freshmen, Brett. I think we've seen Bryce Kane maybe in one football game this year.
Right.
But Bryce Kane, I would run all of these freshmen that are close to ready to go. I'd run them all the way up to that point where they don't lose their red shirt, wouldn't you? I mean,
Absolutely.
again, now if they're way away, I don't want to pull an offensive lineman or a defensive tackle off the field to put somebody else out there that's nowhere near the level that they are currently. I'm not saying that, but the Bryce Canes of the world,
Right.
if it's going to cost Robert Lewis some snaps, and I'm not trying to knock Robert Lewis, or if it's going to cost Sam Jackson some snaps, and I can keep going down the list, then, man, I want Bryce Kane happy. I want him feeling like he's got a chance moving forward. Perry Thompson, my gosh, I want to see more of him. All of us would like to hold on to him, and we see the type of athlete that he is. He really hasn't found his way in year one, but that happens a lot. But when you've got the good opportunity that we currently have to say, yeah, they're getting close. Yes, they've been practicing for a good 3 or 4 months at this point, some even longer than that. Let's throw them out there. Let's not burn a red shirt, but we've got the chance to play them up to those 3 games, and let's do that. So I feel like Saturday we will. I'm hopeful at least that that's what we're going to see. And but you and I've talked to some players. We've talked to some guys that are around the program more than we are. And, we can knock Hugh Freeze and we can knock this staff, and we probably do need to talk offensive coordinator before we close out this morning.
Right.
Because I think that's going to be a big storyline moving forward. But they seem to be still bought into Auburn, still love Auburn, still feel like the guys that are there on campus want to stay at Auburn and want to be a part of the program. And the recruits that are committed to Auburn. And that's a magician right there if you can hold on to everybody in the day of NIL and the recruiting and the transfer portal the way that it is. But it does seem that way. And so for all of the knocks that we're giving Hugh Freeze and this staff, or what the product that we're getting out on the field, you can't knock him for any of that. The players seem to be bought in that are young, but I think you can get them bought in more by showing them that they're going to get opportunities at the end of this football season to show everybody what they can do.
Right. I think you got a host of guys that we haven't seen much of. It's a good opportunity to get them in the football game moving forward. And, heck, we ain't seen that much of Cam Coleman and Malcolm Simmons, to be honest with you. We've seen them on the field. We haven't seen a ton of production because they don't get very many targets. So add that into the mix. Increase their number of touches in a game too, and then add Bryce Kane and Perry in there and some of these other guys. I mean, I'm with you on that Robert Lewis scenario. I mean, it's not isolating him and singling him out. It's just the fact that he's not going to be here in 3 weeks anymore. So if we were 7-1 and playing for something, and he was the best player at that slot position, okay, I get it. But we're not. We're sitting here with the record we have, and you got a plan for the future. But you're right. You and I both confirmed this weekend that the mood of the team is great, believe it or not. And I think a lot of these guys believe that, the transfer portal has its aura out there about what it is and how quick everybody wants to jump in there. And you do have a lot of guys that jump in. But for the most part, a lot of guys want to stay and try to build on something. They want to they've established relationships. I know a lot goes into why somebody decides to leave. Coaches leave, assistants leave, the situation, whatever, can kind of create why a person wants to get in the portal or not. But it just seems like a lot of these guys came in together. They want to build something together. They've got a really good relationship with the recruiting class coming in. So they're like, let's give this a little bit. Let's give this a chance to work before we all hightail out of town and go in different directions. So I think that's the mood. I'm glad it's the mood. I'm kind of glad we had some confirmation of that this weekend. And, but we've still got 3 weeks of a season left. That can have a lot of impact on the mood of how guys are finishing. And so I'm hoping that we'll have something positive to hang our hat on I don't know what that means. Does that mean getting a win somewhere between Texas A&M and Alabama? Does that mean just showing that we're making improvement, changing the quarterback? I don't really know what success can be defined as right now with this program. So, yeah, I mean, and then on the other part of what you said, the offensive coordinator, I don't know. I just sometimes I feel like I'm in a whirlpool, and I just keep spinning around, and I keep going down the same daggum thing every year. And talking about an offensive coordinator, we've been talking about an offensive coordinator for 15 years in all. 15 years. We go through them like salt. I mean, you know, when you put the salt on your French fries, I mean that's what we do. That's how often we go through offensive coordinators here. It looks like we're probably going to be doing that again after we made this big deal about going to get Derek Nix away from Ole Miss, who had spent his whole career there. You know, maybe he's going to go take a job at Southern Miss as the head coach. I don't know, but probably going to be looking at a different O coordinator again at all.
Well, I think even more of a question is, what does Hugh Freeze sell to everyone as his reason for either taking more of the play calling duties, which we can all sense and watch his reactions on the sideline. We know he's hyperactive in what's being called. He can point to the other two and say that they're making some of the calls, and I'm sure that they are. But for the most part, I think he's highly involved in the play calling that's going on Saturday. We've lived through this with Gus Malzahn. We know how this plays out. When things are great, if you've got a coordinator, then you got the right person. But if you lose them and things go downhill, all of a sudden you've got this offensive-minded head coach, and he got where he's gotten by being a great play caller, and he wants to do that. And, oh, no, I may have bitten off too much, and now I got to go back to my old CEO ways, and I got to recruit. We've lived this out with Gus Malzahn. I feel like we're living it out now with Hugh Freeze. Derek Nix, I wish him well if that is the decision that's made. He's earned his opportunity to go to a college and be a head coach, especially to the college where he was one of the best football players they've ever had in that school's history at Southern Miss. I don't think that that's been firmly set yet, but Southern Miss has dropped to a level I never would have thought they'd drop to. They're terrible. They're a terrible football program right now. When they were a consistent winner, when he was there, and many others were there. So I'm hopeful for the state of Alabama that Southern Miss gets close again. You know, you and I watched Tay Young go over there and have a really good career, and we've seen Adelius Thomas from Central Coosa go over there and then turn into an all-pro in the NFL. I can't name how many players that we've seen from the state of Alabama go to Southern Miss and be successful. So Derek Nix would really open up a lot of opportunities for the state of Alabama to go and really do well. And I think a lot of him. Had the good fortune of being around him a good bit over the last year. So I think a lot of Derek Nix. I hate that necessarily it hasn't worked out as well from an offensive standpoint at Auburn this year. But if that's the decision that's made, I wish him well. But we will be back in this exact same conversation that we tend to have year in and year out, and I don't see any way around it. This year it just won't be that we crucified somebody for the way that we played. There'll be another reason for that offensive coordinator leaving, Brett, outside of I'm going to play the blame game, and I'm going to blame it all on my coordinator, which we see in football now all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really have any more to add to that. I mean, the Southern Miss deal is kind of odd how that program fell apart over there, especially being in a catch-all place like Hattiesburg, where you got talent from Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Florida that you can all grab, players that, you know, with this transfer portal era, to me, would have made them a better program, because now you've got high school guys that aren't getting offered because of transfer portal situations with these bigger programs. It just seems like there's more guys out there that you could get in and do your program. But I don't know. I don't know all. It could be a monetary thing. It could be financial. It could be a lot of different things that cause that. And I think there's a lot of other programs that are smaller like them that are suffering financially, you know, especially with the way Power 4 football is moving now, and eliminating those big money games for these programs. they won't have those much longer. And some of them are already struggling because they're not getting that revenue. So I don't know. But Derek Nix has deep roots in Mississippi. He'll be able to go out and probably make some hay over there. But he's got an uphill battle if that's where he ends up. All right, so Auburn is somehow a 24-point favorite in this game Saturday. I don't know. I think this is John that says any fear of it being a game in the fourth quarter. Of course, I don't know what to expect. I don't know who's going to be quarterbacking. I don't know what the situation is going to be. So I would not be putting money on Auburn to win this game by 24 points.
No, I mean, La Monroe has taken a little bit of a step back later in the season, but they started off like gangbusters. We know some coaches over there. We know Coach Vincent. You and I coached his first state championship game when he was at Spanish Fort when they won back in 2010. He coaches physical offensive line play. If you remember back then, Reese Dismukes was his center. They ran that little midline option, and they ran that quarterback up behind the best offensive lineman in the state that night, and he coaches that way. He deserved the coach. He should be the head coach of UAB right now. I'm not going to tiptoe around the tulips on that. That was the decision that should have been made. Cameron Blankenship's the offensive line coach over there. You and I had the good fortune of calling Cameron in high school, and he had an outstanding college career, moving from one place to the next, UAB, and then finishing down at South Alabama because of what happened. But from right here in Elliott City at Benjamin Russell High School, I love Cameron and wish him well. So they're going to come in expecting to play and to be in the game. And La Monroe has hurt a lot of people's feelings over the years. They always seem to be that team that's got a good enough team to scare you when you're not good, and we're not good. And so there's no part of me that thinks we're going to run away with that thing on Saturday.
No. Why would you? I mean, look at our record. Why would you think we'd run away from anybody? So we'll be talking more about that this week. We'll have Auburn Blitz on at noon today with Andy and Jim. And, hopefully this will be the start of something. I don't know. I don't know what it is. It's the start of something. I don't even know what to say anymore with football. So, but it'll be the start of something. And we'll watch practice this week, kind of see who gets the reps and kind of what direction they're moving in. But I do want to say, again, thanks to all of our veterans out there. Happy Veterans Day. Really appreciate everything that they do for us on a daily basis and what they've done to give us the freedoms that we have here in this country. I know we have our problems in this country, but it's still the best country in the world. And, if you see a veteran, thank them today.
Absolutely. Happy Veterans Day. We're wide open in Dadeville, Alabama. You see behind me, screen printing, embroidery, DTF, promotional products. Give us a call at Lee Apparel. We've been in a big meeting with Sign Source this morning. We got a lot of great information or great news coming forward for the Auburn market with Sign Source in the next couple of weeks. So from the start of a signage project to the installation of one, we can handle all here at Sign Source. Lee Apparel and Sign Source, give us a phone call, 256-825-0197.
All right, everybody, have a happy Monday. We'll catch up with you tomorrow.